In this video, I'm going to go a little bit over gifted education and specifically looking at some of the characteristics that differentiate a high-achieving student or smart student versus a gifted student. So in my experience as an academic specialist, I specifically worked with gifted students. We tried to help teachers identify kids who were gifted. And many times teachers struggle with what is the difference between a student who is truly gifted and one who is high achieving or hardworking or smart. And so we tried to educate teachers on how do you identify those differences between a student who is smart and a student who is truly gifted. And so one of the things that I want to start with is, first off, a student who is gifted may have asynchronous development. So oftentimes what we find with a gifted student is if they have such high intellectual abilities, as noted here in the chart with academic verbal or academic math, that doesn't mean that everything else is high as well. And so sometimes what I would find is that teachers would expect, more maturity, more social and emotional skills than they would of other students of that peer age group. And that's just not true. Just because they're gifted in an academic skill does not mean that they're not a typical 13-year-old boy or 10-year-old girl. And so the areas of development are still going to be particular to that student. So they may have a special talent that goes above and beyond, but their emotional abilities to handle things may be lower, or their social might be right on. And that's what we refer to as asynchronous development. So one development area may be off the charts, while others may be underdeveloped or developing at the appropriate stage. So that is one of the things to consider as you're working with gifted students or high achieving students, is just to remember that development of a child is completely unique. And as one thing develops, that doesn't mean that everything is maturing at the same rate. So really, what is the difference then between a high achieving and a gifted student? This is a resource that I pulled from a K through 12 institution. So I'm going to scroll back up here to high achieving. So a high achieving student, they're going to be the ones that are successful in school. They're willing to put in the time and the effort. They know what needs to be done to, make that grade. They're going to be the ones who are going to be studiously completing that worksheet or something else that you have for them. But giftedness is an innate advanced aptitude that is exceptional talent. And it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a cop-out to say you know it when you see it, but when you've worked with gifted students, you just know it when you see it. There is a difference of somebody who just has that innate ability, like an athlete has that innate ability, versus somebody who just has to work and put in that effort for it. So this chart goes a little bit into the differences between what is a smart student and what is a gifted student. And so one of them is ask questions that have answers. But your gifted student is going to ask you more questions that are more conceptual. They're about ideas, they're about theories. They're not about this specific step or this specific way to do something. Your gifted student also is going to be able to pick up on things very quickly, and they're going to be able to move very quickly. So they may not need steps 3, 4, and 5 when you're working out a math problem.